whose son Nitin Noria had just taken over as the Dean of Harvard. And Nitin Noria told his father, in the 100 years history of Harvard, this had never happened. And that you have got this happening to you in the second year of Swan. So it is such a beautiful feeling that we have. And from that day onwards, the amount of love and affection our alumni have for the school is exceptional. Abhinav was not just a student like any other. He was also the student council president. And his style of leadership was quiet. He was not one of those flamboyant leaders and presidents. But he led from behind, which means he put the students in front. And it was a pleasant surprise to me when recently I heard that Abhinav has also created this new venture, that also into a field that does not come naturally to him. So the fact that he found the courage to go into a path which is a new path for him, and the fact that he's doing this to realize his own dreams and in the process serve the needs of others is quite a remarkable thing. So I congratulate you, Abhinav, and thank you very much for being with us this evening. Now over to you, and I will leave you and Atindra and Kevin to take the proceedings from here. So thank you very much.
Thanks for your words, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Anil. Thank you. That was nice.
Thank you, Anil, sir.
Thank you.
So,
yes, sir.
Kevin, shall I start?
Yes, sir. Please proceed.
So, once again, welcome, Abhinav. It was a wonderful feeling to have you back when I interacted with you a couple of days back about this venture. It really gave me goosebumps when I heard that in a short span of 2 years, you have actually created, in your own way, you have created history. And I just want to start my webinar with a little bit of an introduction of yours to the rest of the people. Abhinav, he was working in TCS before he actually came to Soil for the 1-year program. So he spent almost, I think, 3.5 years or so in TCS. He came to Soil, and after that, he spent a couple of years in Soil, joined global companies like Aries Global and Intuit. They're all top-notch multinational IT companies, well-paying jobs. And from there, he shifted to his own venture. Now, this was something which was remarkable. Now, before I ask the first question to Abhinav, I'll just put the overall structure of this webinar to rest of the people who are there. I will be asking a few questions to Abhinav for the next maybe half an hour or so. In the meantime, the audience can actually jot down their questions or maybe post them on the chat box. And in the last 20 minutes, Kevin will take those questions and ask them to Abhinav. And we would be pleased if Abhinav can address those questions which are raised by the audience. I hope this format is okay with you, Abhinav?
Yeah, sure, sir. Yeah.
Good. So the first question which I have for you, from IT to your own venture, information technology, working in multinational companies, the background of TCS, you could have very well gone into some of those top multinational companies. But you chose to start your own venture, that too in a field which did not came naturally to you. If I am not mistaken, you were a BLP general student,
yeah,
with no specific, deep interest in financial subjects.
Yeah.
But I know that you had been practicing something on your own in the stock market. But how come this switch from IT to, your own venture? What was the motivation? What was the inspiration which drove you?
So this was not something which was I had planned for initially. But one thing was sure, when I did complete my engineering in 2007, I did it from Bhopal. And Bhopal is such a beautiful place that my father was also working during that time in Coal India. And so I told him that this is a good place we can retire, he can retire from. So after retirement, he can settle here. So we bought a house here. And so that was my plan, that if my father, mother, my family is going to come here in Bhopal. So I have got 12 years in the time my father gets retired. So I need to do something so that I also come to Bhopal and stay with them after their retirement. So what I did in between, I don't know what I was doing in between. I was just earning salary, going for higher education, again impressing new employer, getting more salary to salary. It was not that much motivating, despite from the fact that I want to settle with my parents after their retirement rather than my parents coming and visiting me for a few days. So that was my biggest motivation. And to come to Bhopal looking for a job, that was again a challenging thing, because tier 2, tier 3 cities will not be paying you that much as you will get into some good MNCs. Right? So I had to figure something which will help me make money from anywhere and be independent and drive something on my own, create a small venture, help others also. So all these factors were combined factor. That one factor was for sure that I want to retire before my father, and I managed to do so. His retirement date was 31st October 2018, and I left my job at Intuit on 27th October 2018, 4 days before him. So that
But
was one
still,
of
Abhinav, the question that keeps cropping up in my mind was, why this interest in the stock markets? Like, was your father into stock markets? Or you are an engineering student, you are an IT student. How did stock market fascinate you?
So stock market, when I moved to Bangalore after Soil, working at Soil, I actually wanted to do something. So that overall intention was to do something on my own where I don't have to spend a lot of capital in the beginning, and I don't need to reach out to customers in the beginning, because it takes some time, right? You need to put in some capital, you need to build your product and reach a set of audience. It will take 2 to 3 years at least. So what is that field which will give me the first day movement in terms of I apply my skills and I get the reward directly? So stock market was the place, and the initial trigger was through TCS only, because I was working with TCS Ahmedabad, and Gujarat is a place of people who are mostly into stock market. So I opened my Demat account in 2008 when there was financial crisis, and that was lying dormant. But this was the thing which motivated me, that stock market is something where you put in money, and if you trade well, you get reward very quickly. If you perform bad, you get losses also very quickly, but there is no intermediary in between. And I can do this independent of location, independent of company. So that was my motivation. And then I started learning on my own. So multiple trials and errors, I finally got through this.
Very good. So, frankly speaking, we all dabble in the stock market once in a while. I remember, in my earlier days in my industry career, I dabbled in stock markets, lost a huge amount of money because of the Harshad Mehta scam. And then I said that I will not go into stocks. I'll only restrict myself to a safer bet of going only for mutual funds and, debt securities. But one thing which, in fact, I was very fascinated, I was going through your website of ROI traders. You do something different. You are not just actually, trying to make some money by doing some trading. You have gone beyond that. You are trying to create some value. You are trying to create, something which probably, amateurs like us, they would actually be looking forward to. Young boys and girls would do. What is that particular business model that you have? What is it that you do in this business?
Sir, my overall motivation for starting this platform as such, stock market, was I was doing comfortably. I was trading comfortably. That was my primary source of income. But this trigger of starting ROI traders last year came because of Corona crisis only. Some of my friends approached me who got fired from their company, that can you also teach me this skill which will help me overcome my, so that I can pay my EMIs and manage my expenses. So I thought there might be so many people who want to add a secondary source of income, or rather, if they do not have a job, they might try stock market as a primary source of income. So if I am earning something, why not help others also learn this? And that too in a very simple way, non-finance terminology way, right? If you want to read any topic about finance, there are so many jargons that if you click on that, you get few more names, and then again you click on that, it's an endless cycle. Right? So I wanted to apply whatever I've learned. I wanted to put it in a simple model, which is easily understandable by anyone from non-finance background, and help them generate a source of income. So that is what I am doing as currently. That is 30% of my time. 70% I am still trading. So that is my primary source of income. But this secondary source of income through the free time I have on weekends or through multiple courses. So I'm planning to increase this in order to make it, in order to reach to a wider audience. But let's see how this goes on.
So as of now, if I'm not mistaken, if I can put it broadly, you have got two models working parallelly.
Yeah.
One where you're actually training people through I think, if I'm not mistaken, a 1 month long program, which is a 30-hour program, where you help them understand the tricks of the trade of the business.
Yeah.
And another model is you have some amount of funds which you are using there in the stock market to generate more funds, which are probably at this point of time maybe your main source of revenue.
Yeah.
So
the other part which you're talking is not available for public, because officially in India, you have to be registered as a portfolio management service and you have to invest minimum 50 lakh rupees in order to avail those kind of service. So, but as an individual taxpayer, I can anyways take money from my friends and relatives. And if they want to make money through me, I help them generate a decent return.
good. So that means your major business that you actually have is the I would call it the niche market of training people in the stock market business.
Yeah, that's my major source here.
Tell us more about this particular vertical of yours.
So, sir, there are basically two courses which I offer. And so one, for those people who have never ventured into stock market or who have ventured also, but have ventured just randomly based on someone's suggestions or recommendation, watching news channels and just putting in money and just trying to think that my money may get double or it may get lost. So I had put a structured way of approaching stock market, right from the basic structure of stock market, what is a stock, what happens in stock market, to the hand holding part where I train them live through live trading sessions. Whatever I do on my screen, whatever formats, indicators I use through chart analysis and all those things, I share with my participant. So that way, and continuous support through WhatsApp group and mentoring, personal mentoring. So that way, people who do not have any knowledge, they get into understanding and reading charts and they start making money from that. And the other part is advanced course for people who have ventured into stock market for some time and who want to make quick returns from the derivative market, right? So basically, I trade into Nifty and Bank Nifty index options. Right? So options is a very quick money-making thing, but is also your 100 can become 200, 100 can also become 50 or 0 if you don't have the nice risk management principles in place, right? So it is both part, right? So some basic course and some advanced level course.
So this basic course that you say, this is a 30-hour course?
Yes, it's a 30-hour course, yeah.
Which means on weekends you do around a couple of hours every weekend, something like that.
Yeah, so Saturday, Sunday, 4 weekends, 8 hours, 2 hours per day on a weekend. And live trading there is some virtual trading session as well, plus 2 hours of paper trading and then 1 full week of live trading.
And in this, the participants, they will actually be, practicing hands-on on your platform. You will actually open up your particular, account and they can actually see how things are happening there. Is that how they do it?
So I share my platform, I share my screen on all the setups, whatever chart I am using, and I am interpreting it live with them.
Okay.
But they also have their own Demat account open. So they do it parallelly in their own terminal.
Okay. So like after the preliminary or the introductory course, there are people who can start their own Demat account and they can start doing trading. They can still get some tips from you, but you generally do not believe in giving tips. This is what I heard.
Yes. Sir. That is the most.
That's the USP. I think that you are wanting to.
No, that is USP, but that is also a challenge because mostly people, when I tell I am launching some course on stock market, people will tell me, leave the course, tell me which stocks are going to perform well.
Right.
So that is why 90-95% of retail traders lose money. They are always dependent on tips. And every news channel, you will see a common pattern. They will tell Rakesh Jhunjhunwala has entered into this stock or Mr. Damani has entered into this stock, but they will never tell you when they have exited from that stock. And every day they will tell you 90, 100 recommendations. And next day they will highlight that 2 or 3 of their recommendations performed well, but they will never talk about 95, 97% of the recommendation which did not perform well. So what about retail traders? So rather than being dependent on anyone else, just look at the charts, draw your own interpretation of the price patterns, how the market is moving, and then take your call.
So Abhinav, I'll actually ask you some secrets. If you can, if you feel it comfortable, you can actually share it to me. You are basically a technical guy, an IT guy. What is that secret that you probably have that helps you to understand which stocks are going to go up, which are going down, which you should hold, which you should buy? You know, many of the things which when Rakesh Jhunjhunwala says, I would consider that probably same principles you would also be using. But Rakesh Jhunjhunwala has got donkeys of years of experience. Now, what is it that you have which definitely gives you an advantage?
Sir, I think
is there a software which you use? Is there a software which you use, something of that sort?
No, sir. I think nowadays, whatever Demat account you use, all the brokers have given their technical analysis platform available to everyone, right? So all the chart reading and indicators which I use, some of the statistics tools which I use, it is available for everyone. But it is up to you. And in fact, there are more than 50 indicators available, 50, 60 of them. If you apply everything, your chart will look like zigzag, multiple lines, and you will not be able to interpret how to enter or exit. So you have to keep your system simple enough, use some basic tools, and then, so if I have to tell you about the tools, then it will be a 1 hour long session for that only, if I have to introduce them. But there is no secret as such. You have to read charts, but you have to read charts on so many occasions, so many hours that you get to understand the behavior of those stocks. And it will 70-80% of the time you will hit it right. Because if you follow a particular set of stock, you will understand their behavior pattern. And it is the common historical trends repeat itself.
So there are tools that you actually help the students with. You help them to learn the tools, and then that is how they practice it.
Yeah.
Now, tell me one more thing. Had you had a finance background, or if somebody has a finance background, does he have an edge over those people who do not have a finance background?
I don't think so, sir. Initially, I thought that like just most of us, like people with MBA in finance or chartered accountant, they are only bound to be successful in stock market. Like Rakesh Jhunjhunwala is also a CA, right? And his father also was in stock market. But that is one-off story, right? You get those things, but I had a better advantage because I wanted to approach market on my own. Whatever are my raw interpretations of market movement, I did not want to dilute it with any textbook or theoretical model which is already available. So that way, anyone who approaches the market in the right way understands the basic founding principles, right? Same case, if you take the case of Elon Musk venturing into from PayPal into SpaceX, what knowledge he had of rockets? Nothing. But he again made use of those basic founding principles. And if you approach the stock market also in that way, the founding principles are price and volume. So what common problem everyone faces is whatever noise which is around us, around the news channels and recommendation or tips, this is all there present to confuse all the retail investors. Whatever action is being taken by institutional investors, they also use technical analysis. They also read charts and make their entry and exit accordingly. But those are not announced publicly because they will not get that right advantage. So if you approach like them, and I would say the biggest secret of succeeding in stock market is how you manage your emotions. Like a retail investor, if you invest 1 lakh rupees, if that becomes 90,000, you will still be hopeful. And Indians are by default hopeful. क्रिकेट में मैच होगा, अरे लास्ट ओवर तक जीत जाएंगे. पिक्चर में हीरो आएगा, अरे नहीं विलन को मार देगा, हीरो नहीं मरता हमारे यहाँ. So those things, when you get emotionally attached to your investment, that will always bring drawdowns to your portfolio. And if your 1 lakh becomes 90,000, you will think, okay, let it become 1 lakh, let me break even, and then I will exit. And if that 90,000 becomes 80,000, then you will think, अरे यार 90 पे था, उसी समय निकल जाना चाहिए था. I should not have waited. So you get into that indecision loop because of your emotional attachments. So institutional investors don't play like that. They have strict rule. Even if they get small profit, but they make consistent profit over a long period of time, and that's why they are successful. So anyone can learn, and anyone can make good money in stock market if they approach market with right discipline and with the basic founding principles.
Okay, coming back to your the model of the teaching learning model that you have, and I would say that there is a lot of synergy between what we do as faculty, and now you are also basically a faculty who's training people on the tricks of the trade of the stock market. One typical challenge that we face as faculty is we have to look at the curriculum design. What do we have to teach? If you have to teach in 30 hours, say for example, something to do with stock market, there are so many things in stock market. There's a money market there, there's a debt market there, there's an equity market there, NSE, BSE, whole lot of things that are there. Now, when you actually had to sit down and create, what were the challenges that you faced in creating this sort of I would call it a curriculum?
So, sir, I did not want to impress people with my vast knowledge. I wanted to offer something which I know, and I don't want to boast of it, but I know something which is working for me, and I want to teach only that. So I do not want to put everything into this. So whatever I knew, I simplified it. And if you, even if I share my slides with all the students also, every slide does not have more than 3 boxes, and 3 boxes does not have more than 3 or 4 words. That's it. Entire course is like that. And this theory and presentation is hardly 20%. 80% of that is practical application. So I teach through some slides, and then I take them live in the market. Rather than taking some theoretical lessons, I tell them directly, see, this is why price moved up. This is why price went down. So I never boasted like I knew everything about a stock market. Whatever I did, if you want to learn, because I am making money through my way, if you want to learn my way, then you can come and join this course. It's just like cricket, right? Rohit Sharma has a different batting style. Virat Kohli has different. MS Dhoni is different. Everywhere you can join Kohli's coaching, Rohit Sharma's or Dhoni's coaching, but you will ultimately learn how to bat and score runs.
So your focus is limited to some of those areas where you are an expert in. So what are those areas where you focus on?
So one thing is stock trading, and stock trading, that means there are multiple models which I use. One is intraday trading. If you want to just enter on the same day, you open the market, you see a stock going up, you buy low, you sell high, come out, enjoy your day, you made some money and just relax. You don't have to worry about overnight position. And then there is one swing trading, which is you catch a momentum because of some news or some government policy or the company's result. There's a swing in the price, which gives you decent 10, 15, 20, 30% return in a matter of few days. You take that and come out. Other is positional, right? When you build your portfolio. So, and the other part which I am doing right now is index trading, right? Through options, which is weekly contracts of Nifty and Bank Nifty. So that is quite rewarding, but that is also quite, it has its own risk associated with this. But for people who are working, they can use swing trading or positional trading, or sometime if they have time, they can also use intraday trading in stocks. So I use both things.
Now, one more thing, there's a confusion in my mind. I just wanted to check this with you. For intraday trading, you do not need your own investment. You can probably do without investment. If you can book profits in intraday, you do probably, your investment is low. Is that true?
So in India, there is a very high leverage available to you if you do intraday trading, because all the brokers, they generate their revenue through the volume of trade which you do. So if you have, suppose, but now the regulations are making it very small. Earlier, some brokers were offering 20x, 30x, 40x, some 10x, 12x. So what does this mean is, if you have 1,000 rupees in your account, and if you get a 10x leverage on Reliance, so that means you can buy shares worth 10,000, even if you have only 1,000 rupees in your account. So that means if Reliance, if that stock moves by 1%, your 10x leverage helps you earn 10% return. But then if it moves down by 1%, you also lose 10%. So, but nowadays, now this SEBI has brought in new regulations, and by September this year, all the leverages will be maximum to 5x, not more than that. So
that's also pretty decent. 5x is also pretty good.
Yeah,
and if
it's pretty decent.
You can help train people to see where to leverage and how to leverage, then probably people can still rationally apply some of the concepts that you teach them to make money.
So that is how I approached the market in beginning. When I left my job and I first started doing intraday trading only. So how I approached this was I opened my account with Zerodha, and that there is a margin calculator page. In that, I just filter down all the stocks which are having highest leverage, and I used to monitor only them, because in a list of thousands of stock, how much are you able to monitor? You will be able to monitor only few stocks, hardly less than 10. So I picked the stocks those have high leverage, and if they give decent 2-3% movement, then I can make 20-30%. I've made double also in same day, because today, like if you saw Wipro's movement, Wipro today the stock price moved by 9%. So, and if you had a leverage of 10x, you would have made 90% today in a single day.
Okay, tell me one thing, like losses and profit, these are something which are the, I think, inherent hazards of playing in the stock market. And I think you have probably, one of the things that you try to see to it, that how can you minimize this particular risk and see to it that maybe the profits might not be very high, but at least the risks can also be minimized. But tell me one thing, if you have to give a few investment tips to somebody, what is it that probably they should be looking forward to, or what they should be watching out if they're a retail investor? What are those few investment tips that you would like to give them broadly on a 30,000 feet level?
So first and foremost is your risk appetite and your goal. What do you want to achieve out of the market? Market offers you everything. If you want to double your money in 7 years, go and invest your money in a mutual fund. 5 years, 7 years, 4 years, depends on fund's performance. You want to double your money through fixed deposit, then invest for 7, 8 years, 9 years. If you want to double your money through stock market in a year, then there is also method available. You want to try those high beta stocks and catch those momentum. There is also ways to double your money in a single day. So it is up to your risk appetite. And what is your long-term perspective? If you want to if you are happy with 10-15% return in a month, and if you can do that 3, 4, 5 times in a year, you can double your money in that way also. So broadly, investment, I won't suggest a single strategy to everyone. It depends on everyone's risk appetite and their profile, right? And the simplest way, if you don't have time to monitor the market, invest into ETFs. Those are the replication of how index moves. Or just copy the top performers of Nifty 50. Those are the top 50 companies of the country. So pick the top performers, top gainers, and just start SIP model in them. Right? Rather than putting SIP into mutual fund, just pick top 10 or 15 companies, and for the sake of diversification, pick 2 or 3 companies from each sector. Some pharma, some auto, some FMCG, some banks. And then put a monthly amount in those stocks in SIP mode. And if you leave that also for long term, it will give you decent high teen return, 15 to 20%. That kind of return it can give you on a compound basis.
Okay. So, you have been doing this for the last 2 years as a full-time practice.
Yeah.
Now, you definitely would have faced some, upward situations, some downward situations. There would have been certain areas where probably you would have had question marks. Okay, did I do the right thing or not? Or then some situations would have been, okay, wow, great. I should have started this much earlier. Can you share some of those moments where you probably had doubts about, why did I start this? Some of those challenges that probably made you question your own decision. Were there any such moments?
Lots of moments, every day. So, but initially, I will share my day one of financial independence. Okay. I left my job. My last working day was 27th October, which was a Friday. And then I had planned my tickets for Bhopal. My parents were going to come for Diwali. And so I pre-boarded my ticket and I booked it for Monday, the coming Monday. That day, 29th October, my flight was at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. I reached Bangalore airport at 8 o'clock almost. because first day of excitement that I am venturing into stock market, I wanted to trade right from airport only. So sitting in the airport, I saw news that ICICI Bank has posted good result, and within first half an hour, I just entered into that stock looking at the chart, and I made decent 50,000 rupees from that. But I was not happy because I thought if 50,000 is available in just half an hour, let me just try some more trades. And while I was also going through security check and I was about to board my plane, I made some more money. And by the time I was sitting in the flight, I made a total of 1 lakh rupees on the day one. Right? But then there were so many days where it went up by plus few lakhs, and I also suffered some losses of few lakhs also on some days. So there were many challenges, many ups and downs, because I had approached market in a different way. I did not know the rules and principles. So as I approached market, as I practiced in the market, I found that you have to stick to rules. If you're making good money, when you're losing money, then quickly cut off your losses so that you are able to survive the next day. Right? So there were many days of like that, initial first 6 months. Then I built in some rules around the system, tried multiple ways of the system, how things work, tried multiple ways of chart reading also, and now things are in place. And the other challenge was also regarding the perception of people, right? So mostly people think if you are in the stock market, it's only gambling. You always lose money in the stock market. So to overcome that also, you have to be confident, you have to believe in yourself, and results will tell. So, Kevin, are you going to facilitate? Ajay, NB sir has joined back.
Sorry, Abhinav, in fact, we had a small power shortage.
No issues, sir. Yeah.
Okay, so I could understand the last part that you said. There was so these challenges are definitely there, and most of the people who would be entering into this. Kevin, I can't hear you. Kevin, your voice is not clear. Abhinav, you can hear me. Unmute.
Yes, sir, I can hear you. Yeah.
So okay, now let me ask you a few more questions. I think there are a lot of questions which are there in the chat box, which we'll take up shortly along with Kevin. But before that, a few things that I would like to know from you, honestly. Like, you did a 1-year program at Soil.
Abhinav?
Did anything that you did here?
So yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, just hold on, Kevin. I'll come back to you. Did the learnings at Soil help you in any way? In sort of, it could be building resilience or understanding, what your potential is. Maybe something technical, maybe something non-technical, something about leadership.
Yes, it's Soil. Coming into Soil itself was a very big decision because that was I was part of the third batch, and that time it was not even that much established brand. It was just 2 batches had passed out, but there was that inner calling that this sounds like a good system where it focuses on values and innovation. And that was the thing which helped me think in multiple ways, right? You have to use your multiple intelligences and approach things as why not, questioning everything, right? Rather than sticking into a defined model which is already available, experimenting into new things. And I learned from my biggest failure. As a president, I was the worst president I think Soil ever could have.
No, that is not true.
I was not very extrovert. So I did not know how to manage my batchmates' expectation as well as management's expectation. So I was just in between those two things, like how to manage, keep my batchmates happy and how to also keep management happy. But I was not happy within myself because I was always trying to impress others, either my batchmates or management. So that way I thought, so how you could do something which you love, and rather than worrying about what people think, do it from your inside, right? What comes as an inner calling to you. And my biggest learning at Soil was when I worked at Soil for 2 years. Because all the new things which I tried out there, it was again venturing into new things, doing cloud computing, or launching a new campus management solution on cloud 10 years back that many people did not even know about cloud computing those days. So I tried learning new things, and it basically opened me up, that challenge everything.
Yeah, I actually remember very distinctly, the moment that we spent at Sidbari today and that year, and the last day of Sidbari when we had that happiness workshop. And then so many batchmates of yours came forward to you. They had tears in their eyes and they said that, Abhinav, I misunderstood you. And they were profusely apologetic of whatever, they probably felt about you. And many of them confessed. I think that was one moment which was a very touching moment for you also. So do you remember those days?
Yes, yeah, I had very good memories of my batchmates, but I always want to remember my student year at Soil as my failure as not acting as a good president, because that always keeps me motivated. What went wrong and how I challenge myself again. So whenever now I approach students, participants in the courses, I try to be on my own, right? I don't want to impress people with fancy words, fancy jargons, and I promise them that you will become millionaire through my course. I'll tell you what I know. If you are happy, you go through it. But that 1 year at Soil was very good. I never danced in front of everyone. I did that at Soil. I never wrote a poem. I started writing so many poems at Soil.
Yes.
And also that standing in elections, although it was not a good result, but those were new things. I overcame my fear a lot at Soil.
Very good. There are a lot of questions there. I think, Kevin, would you like to take the questions now? A few questions can be taken, and after that, we can ask a few more questions.
Sure, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, very clear.
Okay. So we have a question from Rohit Rawat. So he's asking that he has been in the field of capital market by his own interest and burnt his hands in first 3 years. And right now, he has not made any losses in last 2 years. In the process, he has learned that market moves based on the information. One who gets hold of information first takes away the profit. So what are your sources for information as you trade in FNO? So that is his question.
So it's actually a good question. And to tell you frankly, you don't need any source of information. So I'll tell you the secret, what happens in the market. Like we had discussed before, there are two founding principles of how market behave, right? The founding principles lies in the price and volume, right? So everyone thinks, and especially after watching the Scam 92 web series, people think that anyone who knows information firsthand, they will have some advantage. So what will people do? So imagine if a big institutional investor, all the mutual fund houses or big foreign institutional investors, they have some information that Tata Motors is going to launch electric vehicles. They will start buying. You don't know this. But what will they do? You buy with few thousand or few lakh rupees. They will buy with few crores of rupees. So how will it show on chart? It will show sudden rise in volume. It will show sudden jump in price movement. On the same day, price will move by a drastic high percentage as compared to previous day's performance. So you can actually track their movements. What information is available to the big institutional investors, those information can be tracked by their action in the charts. Right? So you don't need to know any information. You just look at the charts. If chart is showing some unusual movement from its previous few days performance, you track those on charts and you follow it. Like Tata Motors, I had caught at 205 when it showed a breakout on chart, not knowing about anything about that news. There were some rumors that they had a tie-up with Tesla, but that also they avoided that. There is no any tie-up as such. But when you track those movement on charts, you will get to know from 205, I tracked it till 300 and I sold it at 300 through options. There is another way through options you can do that, but you just need to know technical analysis.
Very good.
Thank you, Abhinav. So we have one more question. It's from the anonymous. The question is, in options, it is said that people are rarely able to apply strategies such as strangle, straddle, butterfly. Is it true or just a myth?
So I'll tell you my secret. I don't do those strategies because I approached market on my own way. I never wanted to read any textbook on option strategies. So I've heard those names from multiple people, but I've never applied those strategies. I don't even know what these strategies are. So when you approach market in your own way, and so what is the public information available? That in options market, there are 70-80% sellers and hardly 20% buyers. And option sellers make 70% of the time they make money. But they don't tell you this thing that with option selling, it is limited profit and unlimited loss. If your position goes wrong, your entire margin money has to go. To just play with one lot of bank nifty, you have to deposit more than 1 lakh rupees, and you make a profit of hardly 1%, 2% in that. If you are correct, if you are wrong, your margin money will also be gone. But in option buying, I approach the market through option buying. So why not try something which is very highly rewarding, right? Option buying is limited loss and unlimited profit. So when you are right, if stock goes up, you make huge money. Sometimes it gets double and triple. And last year when market fell, you can remember, there were 2 days when the entire index was closed down. Market was closed down because they hit a lower circuit of 10%. So imagine 10% fall. People had made 6-7 times money in a single day if you know option buying. So my approach is option buying because that is maximum rewarding. Ultimately, I don't go by any bookish strategy. Whatever works in the market which gives you money, apply that. So don't worry about those straddle, strangle, those things. Look at the right opportunities, do option buying.
Very good. More questions?
Yes,
Kevin.
sir. Thank you. Thank you, Abhinav. So we have one more question from Rohit Rawat. He's asking, with the wide adoption of technology, I've seen people using algo trading. Do you also have sessions on algo trading? This is the question.
I still believe human brain has more capability than algos. Algos are defined in the system based on past performance, but markets always tend to surprise you with new kind of movement. So it's always human brain which adapts itself to the latest changes in the market faster than an algo can. So I don't believe in algo trading. I do on my own. Like, for example, last year when all this lockdown started, when did it start? Last week of March. And when the lockdown was announced, market had already hit its bottom. And from there, when the lockdown was there, market started rising up. Is it logical? No. So through algos, you will apply multiple things. Market is going down, fundamental analysis, this and that. But what market is doing, and many people missed out those rally. And now they are regretting that had I bought in April first week, I would have made double, triple money by this time. So use your own interpretation of market rather than depending on algos.
Very good.
Okay. So here's a question from Hitesh Kataria. He's asking how to identify and stop greed in trading stocks. How is it different from risk trading?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Hitesh is your senior. He asks how to identify and stop greed in trading stocks. How is it different from risk taking?
Stocks greed.
Like, how to identify and stop greed in trading stocks.
Acha, greed.
Like badega, badega, or badega, or badega. Now, how is it different from risk taking?
You have to take risk to make money. That is for sure. Right. But you have to apply risk management principles also to protect your profit. So there is a concept of trailing stop loss. Right. So suppose your 100 has become now 105. So when you had invested at 100, you would have put a stop loss at 95 that you are mentally prepared for 5 rupees loss. So now that 100 becomes 105, you move your stop loss to 100 so that at least you break even And if that 105 becomes 110, you move it to 105, so that even if it goes down, you have at least 5% profit. So that way, when your stock is moving up gradually, you also move your stop losses based on certain percentage difference from the top price. And no one in the world being any kind of expert can predict the movement of any stock on any point of time, right? It's all a match of demand and supply and people's greed and fear, right? You never know which stock is going to shoot up by 20% in a day and which stock is going to fall by 20% in a day. So you have to look at what is how the stock is behaving on the charts, and then use your money management and risk management principles to, if you are in profit, book your profit. So profit in books is bad, booking profit is good. So rather than just looking at your portfolio that I am 20% in profit and tomorrow if market goes down, your profit becomes 10%. So if you have your stop loss at 10%, take that money. No one gets poor by booking profit, right? Small profit is much better than bigger loss.
Very good. Before I take the next question, Kevin has a weak network. I'll take the next question. But before that, I'll read out a comment with Nitika Madam has written for you. Abhinav, your story certainly reinforces what we tell the students, that positive attitude, passion, and hard work is most critical to success. Your innovative attitude towards always stood out as a student and as a staff member, where you experimented with many new ideas. What would be your final advice to students and current generation leaders? This is a question that she has. What would be your final advice to students and current generation leaders?
I had written some poem and I'd just like to quote it again. That has a summary of everything. Like, मंजिल एक दिन मिल जाएगी, भटकते हुए ही सही, गुमराह तो असल में वो है जो घर से निकले ही नहीं.
Very nice. Very true.
So take the first step, and you never know what is going to happen next day. But have the courage to take the first step. Things will fall in place.
Very good. There are many more questions. Ankit Anish, one of your juniors, he is asking a question. How is algo trading working? How is algo trading for working professionals?
As a working professional, you can apply some algos, but I think better than algos, what you can do if you learn the right principles, even a simple stop loss, trailing stop loss method is more than efficient. Right? You don't need to apply multiple things, because see what happens in algo, you will use certain indicators, right? If this goes above this, buy this. If this goes below this, sell this. But all the indicators work some of the time, and none of the indicator works all of the time in the market. Because 70-80% of the time market moves in a sideways movement, right? Only 20% of the time it will go up drastically or it will go down with a strong trend. Whenever there is a trend, indicators will work. All indicators will work. When market moves in a sideways, all the indicators will fail. So rather than depending on algos, just learn the price movement, and then now even this Zerodha is a GTT thing, right? GTT where you can just apply your stop losses and target also. So suppose you bought something at 1,000 rupees and you set a target of 10%, you set a stop loss of -3%. So tomorrow you don't need to worry. If market goes down at -3%, you will be out of that stock. And if it goes up, you will book a 10% profit. If it goes up by more than 10%, at least you will have 10%. If it goes down, you will save your money and just lose 3%.
Very good. An interesting question by another person, Ayush Sharma, who says that he has an IT background. So his first basic question is, what is option trading, sir? That is the basic question. And then he says, do charts and software applications help us while trading?
Definitely. So I'll come first to option trading. Option trading is like T20 match. You will see lots of sixes and fours within few overs and things which defy logic. And it's like projecting the score. So suppose Reliance is at 2000 and you project that by end of April, Reliance will hit 2200 price. Price will go above 2200. So you buy an option, and if you are correct, so you bought it at a low price, and if your projection is correct and suppose it reaches by to 2300, and you currently bought that option at 10 rupees, that 10 rupees will become 100 rupees by end of April. But if you are wrong, even if Reliance touches 2199, not even 2200, your 10 rupees will become zero. Right? So options is where you are projecting in future that if it goes down, it will go down by this much. If it goes up, it will go up by this much. And if you are correct, you will be rewarded in a very nice way. It is a multi-bagger, but you have to manage your risk also accordingly.
So here is an interesting question from another student of PGDM, Ashutosh Gangwar. He says that his journey is very similar to yours. He's an engineering graduate. He has been trading for the last 2 years, made good amount of money, learning through the doing and all those things. Now, then he says that on 24th of February, 2021, the Indian stock market saw a so-called technical glitch that halted trading hours for 6 hours.
Yeah.
Now, after that, the market reopened from 3:30 to 5. There was a massive bull run. And in both Nifty and BNF indexes. This thing has happened 18 years back once. Now, how do we deal with such kind of situations?
It's a black swan event. It does not happen regularly.
Yeah.
So you have to manage your risk accordingly. So I was also trading on that day, and at 10 o'clock, because I monitor charts regularly, I saw the movements had stopped. So I closed my position and came out. Because when things don't work in the system, it is better you close your position if you have taken for intraday. But if you have your portfolio stock, you can't do anything about it. Right? So those are very rare event, rarest of the rare event. It does not happen regularly. You have to manage your risk then.
Yeah, it's something like a COVID happening in the world. Huh?
Yeah. So sometimes many brokers trading terminal also fail. Right? Zerodha has a blackout, and sometimes ICICI Direct will not work. So then you have to manage your risk. So I have multiple demat accounts. So if ICICI is not working, I use Zerodha. If Zerodha is not working, I use this. And even as a systemic risk, you have to have a backup inverter at your home. If Wi-Fi goes down, you need to have a data pack in your mobile to convert it into a hotspot so that you don't miss on the chart movements. So these are systemic risk.
So which one should be prepared with? I think you are very right. You have to have a backup wherever possible.
Yeah.
There is an interesting, comment by an anonymous attendee who says that what were the most critical things that you did while you were transitioning from job to stock trading and making it your primary source of income? Most critical things that you did.
So see, while I was working, I was investing passively, and I had a good run in stock market. So my biggest success story was SpiceJet. I caught it at 14 rupees when it was about to shut down in December 2014. And I held that stock till 150 rupees. So that was a multi-bagger for me. It was just like a kalp vriksha. I could take fruits and it will again grow fruits and I'll again take fruits. So that gave me good confidence. I had built a good corpus. And when I switched into full-time trading, I did it for the first time, intraday trading, right? So initially, when I was serving my notice period, I thought, let me try this also as along with work. Then I started doing something and I slowly learned on my own. So there is no fixed formula as such. If you have confidence based on your past performance, then you venture into this. Otherwise, leaving a job, venturing into stock market full time, you need to have at least 12 months or 15 months of emergency savings. You should be debt free. Actually, you should not have a pressure of performing every day because market does not give you money every day. There will be some days which will be very highly rewarding, some days which will be loss making, and some days will be average. So you don't need a pressure on yourself, right? That I need to generate this much money every month. If you relax and perform in market, you will generate much more than that. But if you have a pressure that I have to generate 1 lakh, 2 lakh every month, you will not be able to generate even 10,000. Ultimately, some days will be profit, some days will be loss.
Okay, so one Ankit Anish comes up with one more question, which is something which probably I think he wants to play safe. What is the ROI that we can expect on options buying? This is a
ROI in option buying could be from 10% to 200, 300%. Depends on market's performance. the sharper the movement in the market on a day, that is called the gamma factor. Options, there are 4 Greeks which are related to options: the delta, gamma, theta, and vega. So gamma is when there is sharp movement. Suddenly 200, 300 point increase in bank nifty, or in nifty suddenly 80, 100 points, 150 points increase. So the sharper the movement. So you can imagine it like this. Imagine India is playing a match and 45th over, India has scored only 250 runs and they need to score 300 runs. So the remaining 5 overs, you have to hit 50 runs. So if Dhoni comes and hits 15 or 20 runs in a single over, imagine the cost. So if you have put a projection that India will cross 300 for sure, your money will increase rapidly, right? So option buying is a big money making thing, but also there are certain risks associated with it. So when the market is flat, it is very small money making thing. But when market gives sharp movement, it is a money minting thing.
So I would actually suggest that forecasting an ROI in the stock market is something which is very difficult, rather impossible. You never know, because these are all working on sentiments.
Yeah.
So I think that answers. We have lots of other questions, but I think I'll take 2 more questions. One, Yogita G says that India is coming up as a big hub. Like after China, India will have a manufacturing hub and all sorts of, Central Asia's hub will be actually in India. She wants to know which are the companies which can be safe haven for a 30-year long investment goal. Are there such companies?
So 30-year, people will buy food, people will buy medicine, people will drive cars, although the companies will innovate and create new models rather than petrol vehicles, electric vehicles. People will be more online. So all the tech savvy companies, FMCG and pharma is the safest bet. And if you have to invest into new companies, then you have to wait for a few years to see their performance, right? Like the newly listed Nazara Technologies, which is into gaming sports, it will be catching up more, right? But in initial days, don't jump into those kind of stocks, right? People would have already booked profit in that. Invest into IT companies which are more based on products rather than services. Invest on good infra sector companies rather than 30 years. I will say in next 5 years, you can double, triple your money. Because whenever there is a recession, government will try to push their expenditure and how they will generate jobs through infrastructure projects. So all the cement companies, paint companies, electrical equipment companies will be short-term goals. But for long-term, you can buy good businesses which have good management. Because no one can predict what will happen in 30 years. But if management is good, they have been performing well in the recent times, they will perform well also, whatever the situation comes.
Very good. I'll take just one small question in the end. After that, we'll close. Abhinav, I know it's closing to 8. One question comes from Prakash G. He says that, what information led you to believe in a loss-making company like SpiceJet to buy at 14 rupees?
It was my gut feeling after reading a news article that Ajay Singh, the original founder of SpiceJet, is going to come back and there is a chance of revival. So I took that bet. It would have turned into a loss also. But my initial bet was only of 10,000 rupees. So 10,000 became 13,000, 14,000 within a week. I was very happy with that money. But when it started performing well consistently, then I put in some more money, right? So whenever, that is also a principle that is called a pyramiding effect, right? Whenever you approach any investment, don't put your, suppose if you have to invest 1 lakh rupees in a company, don't put 1 lakh at the same time. Put 10,000, 20,000, see if the price goes in your direction, then put additional 20,000, then put extra. So you gradually enhance your exposure to that stock, right? So that way, from 10,000, I started putting few lakhs, and then it turned out to be few lakhs. It gave me 120% annualized return over 3 years.
Very good. Very good. Abhinav, it was actually such a joy. One of the most successful webinars that we have had in this season. And I'm so very proud that there were so many participants and so many questions I had to leave out just because of lack of time. I would request Kevin, if you are hearing, if you can forward these questions to Abhinav, and if you can share, Abhinav's details with all these participants, then maybe they can reach out to him directly also with their questions and with whatever queries they have in their mind.
Yeah, so my email ID, you can reach out with your questions on my email ID, info@roitraders.com. It's also available on the website. If you have any question, I will be more pleased to answer your queries, right? No worries, you can ask any question.
Thanks a lot, Abhinav. Once again, I would like to thank you. It's always a pleasure to get the alumni back in the campus, though it is virtual, but still I think that the amount of knowledge that you shared in this short span of 1 hour was tremendous. And God willing, we will have more such sessions where you can probably share your knowledge with others. There were lots of your juniors and your seniors and some of the freshers also who were actually there in this session. So maybe we can have more sessions of this sort where we can specifically look at some specific aspect which the students might be interested in. Yeah. With those words, I would like to thank you, and I would like to tell you that alumni are the biggest asset, like Anil said. And I think the way you have moved from a particular role in your life to something like a job creator, I look forward to you becoming a Motilal Oswal or maybe an asset management company in due course of time. And God willing, if if the network of soil works, then probably you will never have lack of ideas or lack of resources. So with those words, I would like to thank you. And I would like to convey, Nitika madam has also written here that she wants to, in fact, thank you for the pleasure of listening to you. Kevin would like to say something if he is there. Mayuri Garg says, how can I access your course? So all these things, I think, Kevin, you can write to all these people, connect them to Abhinav if they want to reach out to him for his courses.
Yeah, it was a pleasure talking to you, sir, and networking with all my batchmates, seniors and juniors. So the stock market is definitely a very interesting thing. And if you want to make it as a secondary source of income or even primary source of income, you are most welcome to contact me. I'll love to help you out in that. So nice interacting with all of you. Have a great day.
Thank you, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhinav. Thank you, and
Thank you. Good night. Good night. Good night, all of you.